Another episode of Untrap The Brain. Hope you had a very nice weekend. So today we'll be looking at what we call the system. Right, a system is something that you create that even though you're not actively doing something, but it's something that you keep on doing that generates a specific result. Now, this system is separate from your normal activities like we waking up in the daytime or waking up in the morning to do this and that. This one is quite different, but a system is something you create that generate a specific result, whether you are actively doing it or you are intentionally doing it or not. That's what a system means. So the question is, what system do you have in place? Do you really have a system? Because whether you have a system or you don't have a system, something is in place, right? So it's either you have a system of a specific goal to achieve a specific effect, or you have a system of not a default system that you didn't plan, but at least that is where you fall back when you don't have goals, when you don't have targets. So a system is what you fall back after you've achieved your target or when you don't even set target, and that is what we call a system. So what system are you referring to? So by now, having followed through my episode, you discover that I'm not really into the relationship kind of research. I'm into finance kind of research. So anytime you see me on Trap Your Brain, I'm just trying to say whatever you intend to do financially, or whether you try to achieve maybe a business structure or something that has to do with progress, and in the long run it has to do with finance, you having a better finance. That is all about. I'm an economist. I wouldn't tell you how to get a very good relationship. That's not me. But one thing about Untrap The Brain is your ability to get to the your highest what the highest version of you, your highest burst, things you never thought you were going to achieve, be able to achieve them. That is what I'm after. And that is what my research is about, not just for you, but for me as well. So when I go into my research, and that are the things that I look into. So from my research, from the playbook, I listened to a podcast called The Playbook. And I realized that there is some of these things that all these well-known business tycoons, like the Dangote, like the Tony Elumelu, and most majority of them, do already have an ongoing system before they achieve the things that we upload them for. So the things they actually achieve are their goals. Now, when you listen to some podcasts, or sometimes when you read some books, motivational books or investment books, they will kind of tell you, "Oh, don't go for goals, go for system." Well, I will tell you the reason why they said you should go for system rather than a goal. Now, a goal is a one-time thing. So once you achieve it, then that's all. While a system is a continuous thing, however, a system is not a boom like a short-term goal or like a boom power profit, but a system is it's called is something you create that generates a passive income. That is what a system. What I talk about system, creating a system. This is what I meant because it's something that you use in order to generate a passive income. However, it means that even with this system in place, you just have to keep on setting goals. Goals is what that changes. Once you achieve this particular one, you set another one, and the more you set, the more you get to that level of Dangote because they had a system ongoing. So now, if Dangote isn't setting goals, he already has a passive system of earning a specific amount monthly, whether he was making much effort or not making much effort. Tony Elumelu has to work. He worked for some time. Then he was able to go buy a bank, something like that, a bank called an AB bank before he started setting goals. So all the things we upload him for are the goals that he set. But after those goals, there was a system in place that once he achieved a particular goal, there was a system in place that he was earning passively. So at this early stage, he was working. That's the system. So that's what we mean by a system. What system is in place when you are not setting goals, when you have achieved a specific goals? What are the system in place? So that is what I meant by that. Some tycoons now has 100 million, 200 million, so they have a passive system of savings. So once this money is in their savings account, they generate like 22% of that every yearly. So, however, most of them might be making 10 million yearly or 20 million yearly based on how much they have in account. So, whether they were working or not working for that month or for that year, they are actually earning. So, this is called system, right? While some people have some businesses that, okay, whether they earn salary or don't earn salary, they have something to fall back. So, system is what you have that you can easily fall back on. So it's either you create it intentionally or you don't create it. So this is the reasons why you need to have a system. So if you are working, you need to still create a system. If you have a business, you need to create a business structure that you're very, very sure on a passive note, you have a flow, an inflow of a certain amount. And that is what creating a system is all about. Now, there's so many podcasters, so many influencers now that already had an ongoing system, like whether they have a bumper event or no big event, they have a passive income already. So, system enables you to have a specific passive income. So, on this income is where you're going to rate whether you are an average citizen or you're not an average citizen, not on the goals, right? Because the goal is a one-time thing. When you achieve them, you've achieved them. So the question is, what system do you have in place? So it's either you have a system you created intentionally by yourself, or you have a one that you created on a default mode. Maybe a system of failure, maybe a system of not doing things. All of them are all a system. That's why I usually say, I said, whether you decide to do something, you're already doing something. What are you doing? You decided not to do, and that's you not doing something. So it's something. So not doing something actually is something. So not creating a system that generates a passive income is also something. Mind you, for you to know whether you can handle big money, it's how you start. How can you handle the little money that you have? Maybe the 1 naira, the 2 naira. Is it compounding? If your 1 naira, if you can handle passively some compounding 1 naira, who knows? In 20 years to come, that 1 naira could compound to a very huge amount of money. So that is what it is. So, what kind of passive system do you create? So that is just it. You can go and do your research. Most of those people that you upload over time had a passive system. They had a system that generated a passive income initially. So this passive system is very important, especially when you're coming up from a background where you don't have uh, financial backup. Maybe you're starting off from afresh, you don't have financial backup. So creating a system whereby you can generate, even if it's 5,000 on a monthly basis, but it's a system you're very, very sure that you can generate this on a monthly basis is very good. It's just a starting point, and this is where your goal comes in. Your goal, maybe you're earning 5,000 naira, maybe as a system passively you're earning 5,000 naira, or you're saving 5,000 naira. It is a system. You created a system that every month I'm going to save 5,000 naira, or every month I should be able to earn aside my salary or aside my businesses or aside whatever I'm doing. I'm going to earn 5,000 naira, and you'll be able to institute it to a structured business, a structured whatever, and you'll be able to make it that okay, every month that I'm earning that. This is where the goal setting comes in. Now you can set a goal to raise the bar. Now once you achieve it, the goal is gone. But if actually you've achieved that goal of raising the bar, you have successfully increased what? Your system, the passive income. That's what it means. Right? So that is the question for today. What system do you have in place? Remember, like I usually say, if you say it's impossible, then it's possible. If you say it's possible, it's possible. The goal about it, about untrapping your brain, is when you say a thing is impossible, you will act in that way, regardless whether it's possible, whether it is not possible. You may not even know, because definitely inside you, you believe it's impossible. So whatever thing that will ever work out for you, you're already blocking it with the mindset that it's impossible. Then when you say it's impossible, even if it's genuinely that is even if all odds says it's impossible, but you believe so hard deep down inside yourself that it's possible, definitely a way out will appear. That is where you hear the light at the end of the tunnel. So me, I genuinely believe I so much have interest when the people talk about light at the end of the tunnel. I just ask them this particular question: this light at the end of the tunnel, is it of God? Then I want that word because the truth is, when you believe something is possible, your behavior will change. Your attitude towards whatever that is will change. That is just the truth. And that is what I'm trying to tell you. Creating a system, no matter how small it is, if you can start with 200 naira, you can start with 5,000 naira. Forget about whether naira has a value, whether naira doesn't have a value. What matters is, do you create a system? Do you have a system that genuinely generates something passively? And now it is not my job to make you to believe in the system you created. If you believe in that system, it's going to generate more. So that is just it. Create something, no matter how small it is. Then you set target, you set goals. Because if you don't have a system and you set goals, once you achieve them, you go back to nothing. You go back to nothing. And this is what people will tell you: I only need 2 million to start up this business. I only need 2 million to start up business. And you give them the 2 million. In no distant times, in 2 years' time, the money is nothing to is nowhere to be found. And then you now start hearing, oh, if only I can get 10 million, if only I can get 10 million, they will get that same 10 million in no distant time. That money is gone because they had a target of 2 million, nothing to fall back in. Meaning that word, if they didn't achieve that 2 million, they had nothing to fall back in. And if they had achieved that 2 million, they had no system in place to fall back in. They had no passive strategy. They have no system that has a structure, whatever. Nothing to fall back. So, but when you have an existing system, right? After achieving your goals, the proceeds from your goals can be channeled towards to your system, either to increase whatever effect, whatever result your system is already generating, whatever the passive result is already generating. That is just it. So goals are one-time things. They trend on system, not otherwise. So if you just set goals, if I build my house and you don't have structured system, you can build your house and still go broke and still go back to sell that same house. You can buy your first cars with no existing system. You can drive that same car, buy them, and still go back to resell them. That is why I said system is very, very important. Goals is what raises the bars. So for you to be able to create a goal, you need a system. That is just it. System really changes the game. Right? I want to be a first class student, but however, what if I have an existing system where I just study? I don't need to achieve any specific result. I just like to study. It means that whether I achieve the first class or not, I'm studying. And then if I achieve the first class, that is a very good bonus. That means that I'm going to the next level. Not that when I get the first class and I drop the bar. No. Because I already have a system that I need to study, so I'm studying. That is what it is. So I already have a passive system that I'm earning a specific income. And then when I set my goals, if goals has been achieved, I go back to my system. And then whatever process I've gotten from the goals will re-channel back to the system. That is just it. So the system will now stand as a shield to the goal. That is just I'll really really beseech that you maybe listen to this podcast. It's called the Playbook. You discover that most of them has one thing in common. They had a system. Maybe some of them were working, and while they were working, they were actually saving for something, for a goal. So it was from that place they were working. They did not have a dream, a goal to own a bank, to own a business, to own a structure. So when they got the structure, they did not quit their job. They never quit their job. They continued whatever they were doing. They continued until they discovered that the goal they had set, they had achieved it. And now from whatever they have achieved, they were able to increase their bars. So the system now has increased. They were able to structure the system more that they do not need to be working again, because whether they work or not, that same passive income they were earning has increased whether they work or not. So what I'm trying to say here is, what system do you have in place? It could be a health system. Maybe you go to the gym, maybe you try to see that you eat healthy. All of them are very, very important. So today I'm beseeching, create a very good system that works on a passive note but compounds in the long run, right? Work on a system that creates a passive effect, a passive result, but compounds in the long run. That is just it. All those 20% annual interest for saving, some will say 18% annual. Check it. It is very it's very encouraging, but then it's only encouraging when you have a compounded amount of money to save. So it means that it's only in the long run. So create a system today. Like I do say, if we think it's impossible, then it's impossible. But if you think that it's possible, then it is possible. It is very, very true. So what I'm trying to say is, whatever your intuition tells you after listening to this video is true. Yes, it's true. Yes, because that's the way you're going to act. Right? And that is why I usually say, what do you want? What do you want to achieve? What are your goals in life? Think about it. Be obsessive with it. Forget about the ones you don't like. Mm. Forget about the things you don't want. But think about the things that you want. Think about the things that you like. Maybe you want to buy or whatever it takes. Think about it. For you love it, or you think if you want it, think about it. Be obsessive about, you discover that you are going to work, you're going to behave in a way that that does it, in a way that will lead you closer to those things. That is it. And if it's seriously, if you genuinely want them, you will get them. You look for a way. You know, the things you don't want, you don't have those things because you're not watching out for them. You don't really want them. You're not serious about them. You're not obsessive about them. That's where you don't have it. When you decide to be very serious about it, you get closer. So even if your way is impossible, you another way is gonna come out and you get closer to where you wanna be. So today we've come to the end of today's episode. If whatever that I've said resonates something in you, feel free to share, like, and subscribe. Comment. Don't comment on my WhatsApp. Please comment so that other persons can see. When you comment on my WhatsApp, only me sees it, only me responds to it. But when you comment on the channel, on the video, others get to see it and as well. Man, remember we are learning together, right? We're learning. Right? I'm researching, I'm learning. When you share your points, when you share your views as well, I'm also learning from there. So let's grow together. And once again, I am Uziomer. Thank you.